guys. Okay, sorry, I was accidentally on my other channel and I thought I was on this channel and I was like, what is going on? Welcome. I promised you guys a video about Britney Spears and I literally never got around to it because my previous video I just did took a little bit extra time, and it was because the video I did about the highest paid YouTubers took a little bit more work on my part because obviously I had to go through 10 different YouTubers channels and get different information for you guys. So it was more than doing like a Duggar video, and it took me a little bit more time to put the whole thing together. So I was going to just jump on and do this live because this is actually a development that I wasn't really expecting and I'm a little bit confused by it. And so I wanted to just bring it here because we actually haven't had Jamie Spears, her father, speak out before. And I just want to kind of rewind about what's going on. So if you haven't been following, obviously, start here. Britney Spears has been trying to get her dad removed from her conservatorship since like August. She had requested the court remove him, and she wanted to have like a neutral third party to be managing her and her finances. She wanted someone new to be placed on her she wanted someone new to be placed for managing her finances. And she also had about a month or two ago gotten upset because her dad had somehow like removed the management team that had been like managing her was removed, and then her dad put into place a new management team, which her attorney and her argued was done without her sort of understanding or knowledge, and they weren't happy with that. Well, around August or so, she was actually awarded, and she got a really small win in her conservatorship case. And in that, she was given a opportunity to have a attorney that would represent her in court. So this was supposed to be like someone that could speak specifically for Britney, because right now the conservatorship had always been sort of guided by her dad. And now her dad is basically saying that this new attorney has like basically cut off all communication between his daughter and him, and that things have gotten so bad that since this attorney got involved, and this whole thing is a complete and utter mess. So Jamie doesn't speak out frequently. I should note this. Like, first off, Jamie rarely speaks to the press. And so typically when this Britney Spears like conservatorship has been covered, it's been covered from on TMZ's side of things. So TMZ has covered this case, and they've almost sort of been in a way like the mouthpiece for what the Free Britney Spears group would say. They always say that like TMZ is like on Britney's side, or that TMZ is working for Jamie. What TMZ typically is they do have sources, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone from her camp has been giving information to TMZ. But the interesting thing here is that the statement that was not made to TMZ. It was actually made to CNN. So that's a really big, like, if you want something to go really far, like TMZ is great, but like if you go to like a major media outlet like CNN, NBC, ABC, that kind of thing, you know that like they want this message to be sort of reaching beyond the tabloid fodder of things. And so he was basically telling them that he has not spoken to her since August, and that before this new attorney was added to her like as her like attorney for this case, they were on good terms, and now they're not. So here's what he said to them. He said, "I love my daughter and I miss her very much. When a family member needs special care and protection, families need to step up, as I have done for the last 12 years, to safeguard, protect, and continue to love Britney unconditionally. I have and will continue to provide unwavering love and fierce protection against those with self-serving interests and those who seek to harm her or my family." So his attorney then, Vivian Thurene, she says that this legal team is preventing Jamie from speaking to Britney. And they said, so the attorney told CNN this: "Jamie's relationship with Britney is not that different than your average father-daughter relationship insofar as there has always been a mutual love and respect to each other until Britney's court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, abruptly instructed Jamie not to contact Britney a few months ago. Jamie and Britney have spoken often and regularly throughout the entire conservatorship. In fact, they had spoken just the day before and had a pleasant and collaborative conversation. So apparently, once this court-appointed attorney was put on, then Britney ceases contact with her dad. And the thing is that Britney, when this all happened, was wanting this attorney to come on because she wanted to get her dad off the conservatorship. So I'm wondering if the attorney is sort of trying to tell her, like, don't talk to him, don't speak to him, kind of as this, like, way of, you know, you want to protect your client from being involved in anything. Wanting to have your, like, involved in anything. So last month, this is so confusing. So I'm guessing that the attorney might have advised this because he doesn't want, maybe, like, I don't know if they're viewing Jamie as kind of like the enemy, or like Jamie not having been privy to what's going on to kind of protect the client privilege. I don't really understand that aspect of it, like why they would say, like, not to call or talk to Britney. And there are a lot of people out there that could take advantage of her, but it seems suspect to me that a lawyer in this case would be doing, like, the wrong thing. But again, this is just like what on the surface. So a month ago, she wanted to have her dad suspended immediately as the conservator. And during that hearing, Sam claimed that she feared her father and would not perform on stage as long as he remained a part of the conservatorship. The lawyer did note that Britney and her father hadn't talked in a long time. And the judge did not suspend Jamie as the conservator at that time. So he kept Jamie on in November. They agreed to put a new, like, trust conservator. So Bessemer Trust was supposed to be doing kind of the finances things of it. But the singer, Britney, wants Bessemer and her dad both removed as conservator. So I don't know what's going on here. And then apparently Britney's obviously struggling. So someone that spoke to someone connected to Britney told Entertainment Tonight this year, they said, Britney has had a rough year when it comes to her conservatorship. While she appreciates that her father has done for her, what her father has done for her in the past, she feels she's ready to take more control of her finances and healthcare. And it's been an endless struggle. She's excited about turning 39 and thinks this year will be healing for her. And so she wants out. She wants her dad out. She wants somebody else to be in. This is so messy and complex because, first off, her dad is 68. Her dad was actually super sick about a year and a half ago. So before she was actually, like, things got bad with her health-wise, and it was, like, I think December of 2018. Yeah, December of 2018, things got really bad in her health. She was preparing for a new show in Las Vegas. And while she was preparing during that show in Las Vegas, the medications apparently that she was taking, she had become more and more unstable. Her father had been in and out of the hospital. He had had some sort of abdominal issue, I think with his intestines, where he actually almost passed away. It was very serious. He had to have multiple procedures. And then after that, she quit Las Vegas. And that's when they put her into that facility. And that's when she had to get her medications kind of restabilized. And that's when this whole Free Britney thing, like, came up because people felt like she had been placed in that facility against her will. And there's been all of these people that have spoken out, like her former manager, or her manager, Larry Rudolph, has basically said that, her condition had deteriorated quite a bit, that she was in no position to perform, and he wasn't necessarily sure that she could perform, but that he, as her manager, and he told this to TMZ around that same time, that he, as her manager, did not feel comfortable like making her work or like pushing her to work, because she literally, he said, was not in a good like mental state. So obviously the question sort of comes up is like, that was like that was 2 years ago. Who knows where she's at today? There's always these like different stories coming from like TMZ basically saying that she's not doing well. And then you have her Instagram account, which has all the Free Britney people like convinced something is going on. And you know, the logical part of me is that understands that conservatorships are very complicated, and they also involve a lot of different moving parts. And so I think the argument here is that she doesn't necessarily want to get out of the conservatorship. She has not petitioned to have the conservatorship dissolved at all. She just wants somebody else to take care of it. And her dad just doesn't want to give up control, because her dad somehow doesn't trust that anyone else can do it but him. Britney's condition, so Dee Dee says it has to be serious. It is serious. Like, they haven't released her from it. They do continuous hearings every so often to do an evaluation. She had to, like, last summer, she went through, so I'll back up even further. So after she did that stint in the hospital, then she had to go to, then she went to the court, and she did like a status update. And at that status update, she requested the court that she could get additional time with her kids. So she wanted to have like some modified parenting time where she wouldn't have to have so much supervision, because like right now, the way it was set up is that she had to have like supervision when she was with her two sons that she had with Kevin Federline. And she wanted to have like less like people controlling her, and the court denied that. But before they denied that, what they basically did was they ordered that she go through an entire evaluation, not by any of her doctors. So basically the court appointed like their own team to evaluate her current state of mental health. And then after they did that, there was like no changes made to her being able to spend time with her kids. So, and it was also around that same time that Kevin modified his custody agreement where she had reduced time with the kids. And that also coincided with when her father and her son Jaden got into an altercation at an apartment. So it was that altercation with her dad and Jaden that really sort of spiraled her, that wanted her to get her away from her dad, because at the time she was fearful that her dad's sort of temper was going to be a factor in her not having time with her kids, and she did not want that at all to be an issue. And now Jamie can't be around the kids at all, from my understanding, at least Jaden. So I think from a mom perspective, maybe there's this aspect of her wanting to remove her father because her father cannot be around Jaden. And then, obviously that would be frustrating if you're not allowed to have unsupervised time with your kids. The court hasn't released you from this. And then your dad has this like altercation with your child. And her sister at one point, this is the other interesting thing, Scarlett, because the sister at one point had petitioned the court to also become like on the financial side of the conservatorship, and then she recently withdrew that. And her mom has been on Britney's side, trying to sort of get Britney to have some more of her own control. And if you talk to her brother, oh my gosh, it's such a mess. So her brother was on a podcast, Brian, and the way that Brian was talking about the family was almost like a business. Like Britney was the face of everything, but that all of their livelihoods were contingent on Britney and her like working. But it was like the way that he described it while he was managing her was that like they were doing everything. They were doing, you know, all of her perfume deals. They were managing all of the, you know, everything to do with her tours and her merchandise and everything. And that basically Britney's sole job was like singing, performing, because that's what she could do. And then everyone else kind of like managed everything else. And the way that it seemed as though was that they didn't look at it as Britney being the star. This was my opinion of listening to how her brother talked about it, was that they didn't really look at it as Britney being the star, but more of like, this is our family business, which you wouldn't have the business. This was my opinion at the time when I was watching Brian talk about this. I was like, Brian, you wouldn't have this business if your sister was not, you know, a great dancer, a good singer, and had that it factor. Like this would be, you wouldn't have this business. So while yes, you're helping the business, it's not a family business. It's literally Britney. Anyways. So, but I think that sort of mindset has always been this factor. And then in that same podcast, Brian was saying that like, you know, she's never had to take care of her own finances and she's never had anyone, because she basically had that meltdown in 2007 where she was like spending money faster than she was making it. And her father was actually credited from like getting her back into a really healthy financial position where she wasn't overspending, where they had more control of the finances, because apparently the spending aspect, and they've never clearly stated what her diagnosis is, but it's always been suggested that it's bipolar. And there is an aspect, from my understanding, with mania that can lead to like spending issues where you just, when you're in a manic state, you spend a lot. And that was what a lot of things were saying about like with her finances, and that her dad actually was able to sort of save them from financial ruin. So, okay, Julie says all of that can be attributed to mania. Okay. So, anyways, people with so Dr. Todd Grande actually did a really good video about the ins and outs of the conservatorship and really how complex they are, and how it's not black and white. It's not like she's in this because there's not a need for it. It's not like this conspiracy that she's being held in this against her will, because there's so many moving parts that would have to basically be in that conspiracy, from doctors to psychiatrists to judges to lawyers. It would just be too many people for it to feasibly be like, this isn't what she needs. So, and the way that he explained it was that the kind that she was in could change, but she would have to be able to demonstrate to the court through doctors and through appointments that she can be okay on her own. And he also said in that same video that you can be able to perform and sing and dance, but not capable of doing things like taking care of your finances or managing your daily life activities, because they're completely different skill sets. So he said in cases like this, it's not unreasonable to think like, well, if she loves to dance and sing, and that's what she wants to do, and that's what she's motivated to do, that she could continue to do those things. And then the conservatorship sort of protects her from all the other stuff that she was struggling with. And the way that he described it was, it would be, you know, a positive thing, but it's also serious because it takes away her legal rights. So, but then they're also not, according to Dr. Grande, put into place very easily. They're very hard to get into place. So my, I don't know really what's going on here. Like, if the court-appointed attorney is coming in and they're there to help her, and they think the dad has done things wrong, and then he's cutting off contact of the dad and Britney, This is such a sad situation to me, honestly. And there's so much misinformation online about this, and all I want is, wow, the chat's very busy here. Yeah, and I don't know to what degree she's facing this. I know that there's an active chat here discussing about how some people with this bipolar don't need to be in conservatorships, and that's very true. They don't. They can be completely independent, and others need it because it's more severe. I know when TMZ has talked about it, they've described it as very like severe. So I don't really know. I don't know how the boyfriend fits into this. I'm not really sure. So right now, her dad is like, it's an interesting move, right? That he would go to CNN and make that public statement because he has never really spoken very much. And so the fact that he's running to CNN, not to TMZ, and says like, we have not talked to her. And I don't know. Could a neutral third party do this? Yes, for sure. Could she have someone be a guardian? Yes, that's not her father. Yes. And Dr. Grande actually made a good point that it's not a bad idea a lot of times for the family not to be involved in terms of being the guardian, because it's a lot of pressure on the family, and sometimes the family's judgment can be kind of colluded, or, you know, they are not always thinking about, you know, their motives can be very different. And I think that it seems like her dad has this fear that like everyone has it out for her money, and she has a lot of money. That's another issue. I mean, her estimated net worth is like $59 million. So there's a lot of money at stake. And so I don't know if his fear is that if you put someone in that isn't in her best interest, as he would say, I don't really understand why he would be opposed to a third party coming in at this point. Plus, you guys, my thought process is that you're 68 years old. You've been doing this for a very long time. Your health hasn't been great. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad, you know, but he also is a very protective father. Yes. And so she did tell her, she told her attorney, and this was actually revealed like about a month ago, that she has no plans to perform as long as her father is the conservator. So if she's at this point where she's like, it feels like they're at this crossroads, and like he's being very, I don't know, I don't want to say that he's got his heels sort of dug, like he doesn't want her to kick him out. And maybe his argument would be that she's not capable of really understanding what it means to have him removed. But I don't know. Having a third party that is court appointed, or, you know, is someone, you know, because they did bring someone in while he took a leave of absence, and she has remained a part of the conservatorship. So I don't know why someone like that couldn't just keep doing it, and then why they couldn't have like a bank sort of manage the trust side of things. I don't think she can perform. Larry Rudolph said she can't perform, and then he's not making a ton. He does get a salary, but it's not like a massive amount. And he does have to report every single dime to the court. So it's not as though he just gets open pockets, wallets of money, of Britney's at all. It's not like that at all. Like they file reports, I think, every few months, like either quarterly or biannually to the court, which goes through her financials, so they know how much money is being spent. So it's not like he's willy-nilly has free access to the wallet, but that could be a good point. But I do think, like, again, I don't know all the intricacies of this, but it's just, it's sad. Yeah, the judge has an accountant that checks every single cent that the dad has exponentially increased her estate. Like I said, when she went into this conservatorship, she was near broke, and now she's not. Like, she has very good financial health, and I don't know if her dad is fearful that it'll go back that way. I have no idea. So that's what I have for you tonight about what's going on with Britney Spears. I have always tried to remain neutral. I don't want to be like, dad's bad, Britney's, it's a complicated story. I don't want to feed into conspiracies. I'm just trying to present to you what's going on and just give you guys a better understanding of what is being said. And hopefully something will be resolved. But to date, the court has not removed him as the conservator, and he is also, which is weird that if he is the conservator, why the judge wouldn't, or why the attorney wouldn't want him to speak to her. Jamie wants to make sure that she has enough money to take care of herself when he's gone. I could for sure see that. Yeah, and Scarlett, I agree with you. You said it's maybe a little self-serving, but I also think that he's a father and he loves her very much, and he probably has worked very hard for her estate to make sure that she is perhaps taken care of, because maybe he knew at some point she wouldn't be able to work. And, I don't think that her family is evil at all. I think they have done a really amazing job of keeping her alive, right? And taking care of herself. And that's important. And this is just sad. So I would love to know what your thoughts are about on all of this. You can leave me some comments. I know that the chat is very active. You guys are having some agreements, and I understand that these type of topics will get a lot of heated conversation. So in the comments, please be respectful to one another, and, just think some good thoughts for where's her mother in all of this. So that's the final question I answer. Lynn is not involved in the conservatorship. She can know about it, but she's never had legal rights to the conservatorship. Now she can actually get information from the court. She actually petitioned the court about that a while back, but her mom is not on the conservatorship. Her mom would like her to get the father off too. I think Lynn wants Jamie off there too. She's not talking to the dad because apparently her new lawyer is not allowing it, according to Jamie. So if you want all the details, rewind it back. There's an article out on CNN, ET. There's a million articles about this. But just keep that whole family in your thoughts or your prayers.